Thank you so much. Sorry, I forgot to record. So I was just saying that we are very pleased to welcome Venerable Geshe Lharampa Gyaltsen Tsering to Shita. Geshe La is in Delhi only for 1 day, so we are very, very pleased that he accepted our invitation. And Geshe La is from the Kham region in Tibet and completed 23 years of intense studies at Drepung Losaling Monastery in South India and received the Geshe Lharampa degree, which is the highest degree equivalent to a PhD in Buddhist philosophy, if you will. And since more than 10 years, Venerable Geshe La has been teaching a modern audience at the Library of Tibetan Works and Archives in Dharamshala, where many foreigners and I think also many Indians, no? Yes, so many modern people are studying Buddhist philosophy and Tibetan language at the library, and Venerable Geshe La is teaching Buddhist philosophy. Also, Geshe La started two, what do you call them, organizations. One is called Shide. Yes. This is the most recent one, right? Shide, to help spread peace in the world. And yes? And Tibet Treasure, right? And Tibet Treasure to Tibet's Treasure to help preserve Tibetan culture and Tibetan religion as well. So very welcome, Geshe La. Actually, it is through the kindness of Venerable Tenzin Lamdran that Geshe La is coming. Actually, I've known Venerable for more than 10 years. We did our first 1 month Lamrim course together in Kathmandu. And so we've been in touch since. And actually, I've met Geshe La in 2018, I think, in Bodh Gaya. And Geshe La was asking me, I was living in Nalanda Monastery in south of France at the time, and Geshe La was asking me, what are you studying there? And so he tested me, in a debate style. He asked me, for many of you perhaps joined last week, we started these online debate classes on Wednesdays. And you have seen that we talk about colors, for example, because it's an easy topic, to debate. And so the very first time I met Geshe La, he asked me, what is the definition of color? And so he caught me because I didn't know at that time. So he told me the definition of color is that which suitable as a hue. And so since then I remembered, and this is how I remember Geshe La. Thank you so much. Okay, so before we start, we will do very short prayers, just to establish a proper motivation to listen to the teachings. I will share them online. Oh, and at Tushita, maybe Gagan, would you mind distributing the prayer books? They're on the sound speaker there. Here, Gagan, yeah. On the speaker, yeah. Konchok, could you help distribute the prayer books? I hope you all can see the screen online. We are on page 5. Oh yes, while we are waiting for the prayer books to be distributed, if we don't have enough, maybe some people can share. Konchok and Gagan. If we don't have enough, maybe some people can share. So we are on page 5. Oh yeah, there is 2 more here. Also, I would like to encourage you to ask questions to Venerable Geshe La, especially. So Geshe La is a great scholar, renowned teacher in terms of Buddhist philosophy, but he's very happy to take your psychology questions. If you have everyday issues in your life or issues that you can identify in your mind, I have many questions. So please feel free to, ask questions. This is going to be an interactive discussion, right? Yes. And thank you so much, Venerable Tenzin Lamdran, to accept to interpret also. So we are on page 5. We will start with the praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. Ola madum bajam de ne sinche paja jamba yanda baso pe sangere padan jesu demba dewa jamba jidengemba kibu de khala gyawala name bal hadame nankidemba sangye janden de pege wa shakya to bala chakse loiche de gyapsoiche wo. Then we'll read in English from the second paragraph. When supreme among humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise, then I prostrate. With pure bodies, form supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, savior, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like a spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Thus free like you, the 3 worlds are not, incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the Teacher having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you the one gone to thusness I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to the dharma that pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy fields qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Do not commit any unwholesome actions. Engage in perfect, wholesome actions. Subdue one's own mind. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a defective view, a butter lamp, an illusion, a dewdrop, a water bubble, a dream, lightning, a cloud. See all causative phenomena like this. By these merits, may transmigratory beings attain the state of all-seeing, subdue the enemy of faults, and be delivered from the ocean of samsara, disturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. Nivitala, can you hear me? Would you mind enabling the mute? I think we are hearing some background noise. Thank you so much. Then we will turn to page... We'll turn to page 18, taking refuge and generating bodhicitta. Sangye chedan zogye jognam la janchu pardo dagne gyapsoje dagi chunyen gibe tsognam ki drola benjir sangye jubar sho Sangye chedan zogye jognam la janchu pardo dagne gyapsoje Dagi chunyen gibe tsoknam ki Jola benchir sangye chubarai sho. We can read it in English once as well. I take refuge until I'm enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my merits of listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. May I now please request Venerable Geshe Lharampa to please share the Dharma.
Lasso Adamodela number to Tamala some dash delay.
First of all, Tashdele everyone. Hello, welcome.
Yeah. Thank you, Namjini Labdeo. Also, Tamalea dashi delays. Also, Boba Imbaina Panzi 2 week earlier. Dashi delay lawyer. Dashi delay lade. Not so correct Karajila Kogo Lavayana.
So first of all, usually we Tibetans, our greetings, right, is to say tashi dele. So in Tibetan, there are 2 words with 4 syllables. So tashi dele. And what means tashi dele?
Yeah. Tangaruzo la Gariore the 2 the Ludan Sim Nior. Ludan Sim Nio Sonza and the Lula Nasa Meba Judan, Semle a Kangi Meba, Semle a Duan Meba Jombaina, Tangoni tashi dele on the Chagiori.
Well, actually, we are composed by two parts, physical and psychological aspects, isn't it? And so the proper tashi dele is the well-being of both, well-being of body and well-being of mind, is the lack of suffering, either in physical and mental aspect.
Yeah. Tini sonzada maruzo tsama tashi dele yimba shishaji kutoni ta diri chi de soba kutoni kazang ane dango shini dili chini wachi yongo resini odini chi dingale yabo da shea me de ina yang maruzo miji yin sonza namba zo kang shimba de ana zo tseya jang nge kang shimba de namba zo la paya 지금 아주 판제 시리 당와이나 대지 펜도 연구를 삼비 토니 그런 dindi지 기회 토니 디린들이야 저와인.
So from this motivation and wish to all of you, like the well-being in mental and physical aspect, is from this mind, I greet you, Tashtele. And well, actually, since last night we are talking, we just came to know about this talk today. We didn't plan to do this here in Delhi and so forth, but since he requested and so forth, well, I'm not actually keen on talking. I'm not that expert, but with the pure motivation of coming here and telling whatever the little that I know, and also not only telling you, but also sharing, exchanging with you guys. So with this pure motivation of exchanging and helping and learning from each other, with this motivation, I did agree to come here today.
Yeah. Also, lojong da dini na lo la dongbo kara sungu du si 통타이 니라 자와 니스 디는 순구도 통타이 니라 자와 토마다 타마니라 자와 니스 다 디나니 기치쇼 가르레스 당보들라 그런데 기치 모레스.
So when we talk about studies or reflections, like the process of studies and reflection, it's very important, the actions that we do in the beginning and in the end of these activities. And what is the actions that we have to do in the beginning of this kind of activities is to set a proper motivation.
Yeah. Also, children, you think Gandhiji might Jawa de song the names at the lega de Yaboji chada, Duboji chat, two de also. Samlo tang de la rally or samlo de yaboji yobaina Jawa the sambochi yungre samlo de yaboji mebaina Jawa the sambochi yungmade.
And even in mundane activities that you do, our activities are virtuous or non-virtuous, are good or bad. These divisions actually relies on our motivation. If our motivation is pure and is good, so definitely the activities, even in mundane level, is going to be good. If our motivation is not that pure and so forth, definitely the activity is not going to be that nice in mundane level even. For example,
and the Yaboji go, Saja the Konyumbo dan, Saja the Sad so Shivu Yavo, Dondo dan, Shinro, the Neobaina, Delameto Sabotana, give me no.
Even for example, if you want to plant, to do a garden or to plant one flower, in order to really give rise to a very nice flower, before what we have to do, we have to prepare the soil. We have to take all of the bad things or the stones and so forth, and then we have to plant in a pure and nice, clean soil. So likewise, before engaging in any kind of studies or reflection, it's very important to set a pure and good motivation. For this reason, for example, today, before we really start engaging in this talk today, at least both of us, we've been so busy today here in Delhi, like since morning until 5 minutes ago, like running from one office to other. And so we really were very busy today. And likewise, maybe all of you guys here also like going to the work and so forth. And so maybe before we engage in this talk today, let's try to relax a little bit this mind.
Yeah.
Thank you, right? And so, first of all, let's do a little breath meditation, okay? Just living. Everyone knows how to do breath meditation at home. Also, if you want to send questions, is okay. So this exercise of focus the mind in the breath actually is just to not get too distracted, right? And so you really put attention in the movement of the breath coming into and going out through your nostrils, okay? But just take care of not falling to sleep, okay? Just for a few seconds. Okay.
Yeah. Ta dindingi number chola tambo de la gar shuya yin city kana tangi desen road tambo chi gar zeng mar so chi ngonzen chi ya ge tabshi chi ani nga cho garala ten yume di kola ni che
nga cho kansa
su de se mai nerwa ani di nani jang ta nga cho sem gun choten lugun choten sem gun choten ni nani sem gun choten sa gandi che go yore sem gun choten mayong wala kek do kar yume odili kola tonsen ru song to.
So today, in order to speak about the topics that you asked for, I also thought about dividing my presentation on whatever I'm going to talk in three parts. The first of all is how to recognize ourselves. So who am I? How to recognize who is this person? First of all. The second, what is the basis? How this person or how this self, where this rely on? And the third one, the third part of my talk today is going to be about the mental and emotional health, like how to take care of our emotional and mental health, and what are the obstacles that may create some problems to our health.
Yeah. Ta dambo de la ani nga sures.
First of all, who am I?
Yeah. Nga sures digala nga zo delia lendo de carriores nga michis.
Well, first of all, when we ask, who am I? First of all, I am a human being. That's the first answer. Second answer, I am an sentient being. And what means to be human? And what means to be a human being is someone that is able to express with meaning. Actually, there's a very huge meaning here. Because a human being is someone that can communicate with meaning in the sense of, if you compare with other animals, like we can express meanings.
아니 동고와 파쇼디 가라 시바이나 때 랑뚝고 돈다 하고.
And we cannot only communicate whatever we want to express, but we can understand exactly, and because of this we can engage in discussions and forums and so forth. But also we can understand exactly what the other side is trying to express, and all with all the reasons.
Yeah. Then you bought the same change in the same change in the Carla or is also Misa the Lango Chimbo to us. Go. Go Chimbo di Nanola Carriore, Lava Chimbo. Lava Chimbo de la Carriore, Sheriff Chimbo Jitende.
And the second, the second answer, do you remember? So we are also sentient beings. And what means sentient beings? Like, first of all, we are among the sentient beings, where the sentient beings known as the big head, the biggest head. And if we are like known as a sentient being with a big head, means that we have a big spot for a big brain. And what means to have a big brain?
Yeah.
And to just wait, and to have a big brain, so actually means that it's showing that we can think with in a more vast way. Okay, that's the first thing. And so the second part is, okay, so this person, in order to exist, where's the basis? How where this person, this self, this person relies on? Okay, if I ask you, I want everyone's answer, okay? And so if I ask you, okay, this person, this self, where does this self to exist relies on? What do you think? Self. You are closer to me, so I'm going to ask you. So this self, in order to exist, depends on what, or relies on what to exist?
Bread.
Bread?
The bread.
Oh, the breath. Yeah. Okay, the breath. Okay, lungla. So lungla.
Chocolate.
Maria, ni para dia ni lungla. So ujonda.
Ego.
Dak.
On the ego.
Dak tu pa ni dak to.
Depends on, it relies on the ego.
Ni dak la ting yores. Okay. Who else? At home also, please.
My interaction with the world. My relation with the world.
Okay, others?
Somebody is saying mine. Same.
Oh, similar.
Oh.
We have two translators. Yes, you did. Yes, please, more.
Yeah, do. Oh, na kalala teore, kulola teore, ani me shandala teore, dini samlo
Yes, actually, all of you actually is correct. Like, in order for us as person to exist, we rely on many things, isn't it? Like, we rely on all of the things that you said, in our food, in even our clothes, in these cushions. So we rely in many things. We depend on many things to exist. It's true, all of this is true, okay? But mainly, if you condense to one sort of understanding, this person exists depending on mainly two things, in our body and in our mind. The gathering together of all the minds, right? And because all of these many selves and people here, we want all the same, isn't it? All of us, we want a well-being and a happy life, and none of us we want any kind of suffering, problems, and unsatisfaction, isn't it? And since we want all of this, and so we have to understand that we have two kind of well-being, because we have these two bases, that is the physical and the mental well-being. And in order to have a physical well-being or sensorial pleasures, right? Like the physical well-being relies in what? Like in having good conditions, financial conditions to receive this physical well-being. So in order, maybe you know much better than I, like how to achieve this physical well-being, like through the physical health. And because I am a sick person, like I have lots of sickness and so forth, so I am not a good person to talk about the physical good conditions and physical health. So this I'm not gonna talk about. But in the other hand, on the other hand, like we have the other very important health or well-being, that is the emotional and mental health. And this mental and emotional well-being, how to achieve, what are methods and so forth, because all my more than 23 years of studies that I did in the monastery is based on this, is in order to understand this issue. Then as much as I remember, as much as I know, I'm going to share with you today.
Yeah.
For example, if you look at here, at this person here, what do you think? This person talking to you, what do you think? Please tell me true. What do you think? This person here talking to you seems to be a very angry person or not? What do you think? You can be honest. At home also. I can answer.
Lovely smiles.
Marani jambo mi ando kapotus kizani kipo daos kange mashirgida.
Then you may in a young number to the Shia Chilacari or you must say Yam Yoganalo Langalo, Georgia part the Georgia Lord to the knee, Georgia Parker, not a pangone, me. That having me the chassis.
Nedi chatolayani ripa chempo tang ani kindo kapotas mi daudas. Well, anyway, like the way that you perceive or not. First of all, I can tell you something. Until more or less my 18th, when I was until 18, I can really confess to you something. That I was maybe, if it was, I was not the worst, but I was among the worst people in my place, in the region that I came from in Tibet. And mainly, probably I was the most angry person in that place. I was really bad guy.
I
never got one true friend in order to play. Because which fault? Like why did I couldn't never find someone to play with me? Because of my own fault, because of my own anger inside here. And it was not the fault. It was not the fault of this body. It was the fault of the anger inside me. And because I was so angry, so out of this, I never had any harmonious relationship before. For this reason, when I divided my speech today in the third part, we are talking about the emotional and mental health. Like it's so important, exactly in this case, like the bad state of mind as anger really destroy our immune system, destroy our mental health. And so to understand about anger is very important.
Yana same go kange sena dugudu ta so kar yore sini ta ngaso so ngonzen chegu.
So for these reasons, it's very important to recognize our mental or emotional problems, or the same thing that another word that we use is the mental sicknesses or the emotional sickness. It's very important to recognize as it is. For example, if you go to the hospital,
never the Leondini Lamsa members who cap Jagumindu, and me Lamsa may take me to.
For example, when we go to the hospital,
아마도 탕 제제버도 그저 다지지도.
When you go to the hospital, we don't arrive to the hospital and get the injection immediately with the medicine, isn't it? Like we have to check first the condition and the situation of this body.
가르치니 내가
Why is like that?
갈레티고레스나 나사 가르도 나사 가wan도 동보 나사도 야고 원전 집이
Because we have to, of course, for us it's obvious, like we have to recognize which kind of problem or sickness we have here.
나사도 야고 지 원전 톱소나 데라 맨 다운데 가나 남사 나 내사도 작토도.
And then just after recognizing whatever the problem or sickness we have, then comes the medicine.
배대 나시
Just
아주
likewise.
샘거 나사다 샘거 강에 대한 담보 소소소소 간디 임면데 원전 야고 직제시고 그래.
Likewise, if we want to really rely in a better state of mind and life, we have to be aware of whatever is going on here.
샘거 강에 당 샘거 나사도 야고 지 원전 제마탐나 따팅알라 고구민도 세니 팽기요 말해.
Yes, isn't it? Like, if you don't know whatever is disturbing inside here, whatever problems we have here, whatever sickness we have in a mental level, and so doesn't matter how much we say, I don't want this, I don't want to suffer, I don't want this problem, and so forth. It's just empty words because the problem will still carry on here.
근데 소자 담보들랑에 넘어 줄이야 맞추 jel야 되니가 심 득자 맞춰라 강에서 니가 지금 삼로 득자가 그래서 수수 지킨 간디 질라 되니 깨게 요래신 담보에 넘어 줄이야 되는 것도지 주인.
For this reason, it's very important to recognize where these bad states of mind and problems come from. It's very important to recognize the cause.
야, 다 담보들라야 로보 인이 응원번서 아니 자가르 강원에 배 개발 첨부 로보 인이 금킹 인이 있은 빠싸와 첨부 어디가 응원번서 그나로라 아니 녀모 계세지 소요래.
Okay, and so let's start. Now the proper teaching starts, and so just like the Indian scholar Vasunbandu said in Abhidharmakosa's treasure. So what he said is,
야, 벌써 드린 요 넘어서 망아지 자가리 있어래.
Manchari.
자가르.
Most of you are here from India, isn't it? Who is not from India? Yeah, conso chigarashidu.
전다 참아 인디아라.
Yes.
제가 인디아 등아서 보발라 아정가 가든 챔버에 응아서 겐라다 보바가 겐라 저진이 보바 데 인디아가 기프트 차되어래. 저니바데 가르지디간 다 여름 보셔도 디모 보시 아니 에 다고 잠냥 가서 하만한시 차되어래. 왜 가든 챔버에
So first of all, like since most of you are from India, I really want to express my deep gratitude and happiness to all of you from India, because actually from one aspect, India actually is our teacher, our main teacher, and all of these amazing scholars, they came from India. So these scholars that we study their texts and their understandings, they came from India. And also from the other aspect, it's so, India as the country, as the culture and so forth, is so important, because actually out of your kindness, His Holiness and all of our people, like you embraced, like you really welcomed all of us here. And so out of this kindness, we are able to be here. So thank you so much.
인디언 송사 무시가 저런저 인디아 땡큐 오네.
India, thank you. I don't need to translate.
야.
Oh, sorry.
야. 다드네 가르레스디가 콩고 가르송요레스디가나.
And what Vasunbandu said?
콩고 가르송요레스디 담보들이야. 아니 차제 pomba마인다. 유르는 예월네 봐다. 출시마이 예지 묘모진 상화 연신 쇼로가 지요레. 이 가르송고레스 담보들이야. 맞죠 gel야 아니 묘모들 람상 강강강 깨야들이야. 주치 가리요레스. 몰래야. 아주 묘모 빵요 말에 와스 담보르마 담보들라. 묘모
And so he expressed one verse that says the meaning, like what is the meaning of this verse, is that first of all, we have all of our problems coming from the afflictive emotions. And so because we didn't abandon the afflictive emotions, out of this first cause of not abandoning the afflictive emotions, that's why problems come.
yurne nyero neba dan sitika karazi mazo docha kesa ga yur docha ka mukpa sena digido control kesa ga yur tso mazo ta doas.
The second line of this verse is like we abide in a very near place. But what means we abide in the very near place is that because we are all the time very close to the causes, the external conditions that give rise to our attachment, anger, and so forth.
아니 숨바데 가르송고도 아니 맞을라야 남도 마무도as 남도.
And the third line is saying here that actually we have lots of, as we say in English, like fabricated thought or the overthinking.
대인선사 녀모가 지킨데 주 지킨선데 창가요 선사 엔지부데 강게 끼그레.
Because these are actually the proper causes of creating the afflictions to give rise. So when all of these conditions come together, definitely the problems or the afflictive states of mind, they arise. For example,
메도고 사본지 사올라요 바이나 데레야 낀 추당 룰라서 버테용데간
For example, if we put the seed of a flower, if we plant a seed of a flower and then we water, we put some fertilizer, it's like that, and then we live in the sun and so forth. Naturally, that seed grows, isn't it? It's okay. Do you remember? So do you remember? So the main causes of our problems is first that we didn't abandon yet our afflictive emotions. Dungal mapangwa. Okay, let's say. So first, we didn't abandon in our mind the afflictions. The second is that we are too close to the objects that give rise to our problems, our attachments of force. Third, third, we have too much ruminating thoughts. Like we still have big overthinking present here. Isn't it?
소소 차바 계사가 유르치 임바이나 안델야 대야본도 야 아메 소소지 남도고 도도던 야 첨부 주소니 아니 소소 노바다 텔레파스기도도.
Isn't it? Because like now try to imagine this situation in your own daily life. If we are too attached to an object, a person or whatever, if all the time is too close to us, we just keep reinforcing how amazing that person is, how perfect that person is, and so forth. And we create more and more and more the scenery that perfects that person. And actually, and out of this perfection that you're creating, then you attach so much. Likewise.
콜레야 도치다 디차니 코디찬도 코디카제시다 디찬도 코페 따따 디찬도 코바이마 두고 남도고 소니 타마달레 콜 코단데와 림보 아니 셈리아 당시 콜레야페.
Likewise, if we are always too close to the person that agitates our mind, just because we are too close to the person that agitates our mind, what happened with this overthinking? The overthinking actually start building how awful that person is. Not only just awful, it's the worst person in the universe. And not only the worst person in the universe is just faulty, has all of these problems, and so we create actually the fault, the inherent fault in that person. And out of the self-creation that we are doing against that person, this actually creates the separation, or that you increase your problem with that person. And so out of this overthinking, out of these self-fabricating thoughts that you are actually building that scenery, positive, exaggerated positive or negative, that out of this overthinking, that the attachment and anger arise. And out of this attachment and anger and so forth that arise, out of these afflictive emotions, that all of our physical health and so forth is completely destroyed. For example,
소소 미들라 마가위 토니 소소 컨트롤 근일라니 츠디자 파치람나 허쇼 미들 있잖아 츠디자 니숨지 츠라비.
For example, out of my anger, out of the fabricated thoughts that I build my own anger, I say something very bad to you out of my anger. But of course, you tell me some bad words, and not only 1, 2, and 3, and more words against me.
데네인 손자 아주 보박은 개바서 아직 랍자 가라는 게 요래지. 미게 균야 조발이 소소고 균지 무슨바가.
And so there are so many Tibetan scholars that they say, even if you see 100 faults in the others, it's better to recognize at least one fault in oneself.
제가 미시한다가 균 몸보지 봐 줘대가지 제가 같이 마도요 말와 같이 어디 갈라 미레레레레라 균주지 어셔 미망보로 미망보도 제가라 균지 줘봐 미주기 균주나 제가라 균주 담아 아니 미니시 이제는 균 니시 담아 근데 제가 제가 균 몸보 좋은 거 텔레데니 소소페 콘도 당 소소 마키바 식치모 차도 그러고.
Likewise, if you just look and point out faults to others, about others, like you can say and point all the faults in others, but like you just have one mouth and you're just one person. On the other hand, those that you are pointing their faults and speaking bad about them, they can be 10, 20, and they will do exactly the same against you. And so actually you are pointing to one fault, and actually you receive like 10 or 20 faults being pointed faults by 10 or 20 faults 20 people. And so actually out of having so many people pointing your fault, definitely you be also agitated, unhappy, angry and so forth, so you not be able to cope with this.
남진이 양다 지가르송고리 아졸라 파마니 무니 존도스.
Usually what I say is don't remember that our parents made us with 2 eyes and 2 ears, but only with one mouth, isn't it? And what is that? It's in order for us to observe better and to listen more. But please don't speak too much. Isn't it? It's good? It's like that? This shows us a lesson. And we're talking about the same life, okay? We are not talking about next life. Because within this own life, if we really behave good, if we become a good person within this life, no need to worry about next life. It's already good. On the other hand, like if you keep behaving bad within this life and just think, next life I become better, next life may I receive good conditions or happiness and so forth. So these expectations is absolutely faulty. Usually in my classes I say, please forget about other lives, okay? It's very important, first of all, to think about one's own life now. How can I behave better? How can I really fix my faults and so forth? Then, just like that, within this very life, I be able to accomplish whatever I want to. We Tibetans also, we have one habit that is, yes, we usually pray for all of our Jews. And how we pray? Oh, may I achieve a better rebirth in the next life. And may I encounter or meet all of the 3 Jews in the next life. And then we do pray like that.
단다 제랑라 밀리토.
Then what I say to them is, hey,
단다
come on.
제랑 추단 제도.
Now you're already a human being and you're already met with the three Jews.
단다 제랑 제나 간디도스.
And
단다랑 무슨 네가 나올라 제랑 추로종 제 냠내 제나 간디도스.
so if you have these good conditions within this very life with these good conditions, how are you using your life? I ask them.
디소미도.
And then what they tell me is, oh, I'm busy. I don't have time.
알레 제와지마 밀리토나 델라 디소 요바지다 칼라자마고케 콜로코마고케 디니 미직 제와레 요레.
And then what I ask them again is, oh, okay, so if next life you achieve a human rebirth, and then you achieve a good conditions to meet the precious Jews, and then in the next life maybe you achieve all of these conditions without need to eat and to have money for your clothes and so forth, is going to be like that?
자자 딘디인 소자 나로초 내가 갈라고로 해서 디가나 딱이 깡래야 미치 임바다 마시 동고 임바다 셰로 쳔보 요바데 단다 나초라 창마다 창요 좀요 송자 디가 토니 나초 강투 쳇투 그 토니 아니 미상보지 제약의 탑시 등이 버도
So for this reason, like it's so important to recognize that we already are in the good state, that we are first of all humans with this intellect, with this potency, human potency. And then we have this wisdom, the human wisdom, human brain and so forth, and with all the good conditions. And so please, it's very important to really address these faculties, address this good state of life in a proper way.
당아서 참이 신고에 질래야 가르 신고를 라바이나 미상보 세야데 고르모 춘우서 두고 말다. 오니 미상보 세야데 고르모 가르서 두고 레진 미 추고서 두고. 이나야 미상보 세야데 고르모서 두고 말.
And something that is very important to know is actually, well, we have to be a good person and so forth, but the good person, a good person cannot make money. Who can make money are the rich people.
But what
means good? So we don't have to connect this to information.
소소가 삼로 땅땅 토니 삼바 삼보 제야레 모두 나 삼바 삼보 제고 삼바 삼보 제야라 캅지 겨로지 삼바 삼보 제야라 멘지 테로실람나 요만다.
But what means like to be how can I become a good person, right? How can I become a good person? To become a good person, like you cannot go and buy in the shop like, one very nice fancy good person and then we cannot buy, or we cannot go to the hospital and receive an injection of being a good person. It's not like that.
Isn't it?
Like if you go to the hospital, isn't it like if you go to the hospital saying, I'm so angry, I'm so irritated and so forth, so please give me one vaccine or whatever to this anger, like it's impossible to receive this, isn't it? But and so because of this, actually we have to apply methods or to see how can we really reduce this anger within us. Okay, first of all, before understanding how to reduce this, we have to recognize what is anger and where this anger comes from. So the first of all, like anger, how give rise to the anger in our continuum is on the top of encountering or meeting with unpleasant sensations. And how these unpleasant sensations arise out of being prevented from everything that we wish to, and being stopped from whatever we want to have. And of course, like if whatever we want, we cannot have or we are something creates obstacle. So on the top of this, and so we become angry.
야. 다 콘도드식 제모 차원디 갈라 다 가르 담보들라 가 저랑라 가르치 그래서 저랑 동에 모조샤 그래서
And then if you become angry, first of all, like you will be very ugly, you know, your face will change.
야. 아니 저랑 그배 차다 롱다 그 참마도 죽이니 좀 절대 참마 돌아다니요 그래.
And not only that, like even all of human systems is going to be damaged.
다 임바이나 양아조 컨트롤 대제식 총리 당에 탑시 될래야 잠바당 조바당 아니 디디 고미야 뭐지 송고요래.
And well, actually we also have like many other methods to reduce our anger. For example, cultivating love, compassion, patience.
야. 다 잠바당 니제사 대 테마 지금 당아 잠바 검사에 당아 컨트롤 지금 누선인 로데나 대용구 말이다.
But
그디 이나 맞아 칼 저거도 자고나 가디나 칼라도 디토라 사고도 칼라도 디토라 맞으나 저거 또 용도 어디나 신경 아주 컨트롤이 뭐 잠바세야 돼 인된 그 돈이 소소고 또 나지 될 로조지 곰고야지 차대.
And for example, since one of the best antidotes against anger is to cultivate love and compassion and so forth, is not just meditating 1, 2, 3 days in love and then, oh, now my anger, it will gone. It's not like that, of course. Like, and then we become angry again, then frustrated, and then think that this method of cultivating love is not good. It's not like that. Like, we really have to sit or to think about all the reasons and the qualities in love and in caring attitudes again and again in daily basis, and then slowly the anger becomes more pacified within us.
야, 가시 갈라우도
Some of us say what?
갈라 전이 소바금 도움도 된들라고도.
Some of us say, when I become angry, I can't hold myself. Like I can't be patient in that moment.
이마이나 컨트롤 카티사디 갈라 소바금 도움 말해.
Ah.
컨트롤 카티사온디
Of course, that when we are already angry, definitely in that moment, like you don't have to cultivate or meditate in patience in that moment.
다 컨트롤 카티사온디 갈라야 탑람 가려요레 라바이나 아니 당보들라 저런저 컨트롤 당아 컨트롤 침보 인 저런저 컨트롤 사기 요에 남기 컨트롤 사기도.
And so, but what we have to do at the moment that we are very angry. So, but first of all, are you like angry people, or sometimes do you feel like irritated or angry? At least I am very angry. What do you have this anger within yourself?
컨트롤 사디 아니 우간데 용구도.
When you're angry, when you're very angry, how is your breath in that moment? Cubo. Yes, we do like that, isn't it?
근데 가블레야 가르 양 두지 가르치고 그래 시디가 나가서 예전에.
So in order to reduce this, and so something that we can do is like that.
근데 당보 하나님 아우시 직침보 마당. 근데 갈래는데 내가네 아니데 나네 우야 갈래 롤롤 소소 우들 롤롤 소토나 콘도도 대지 식종으로 그래.
롱람베 kapsura.
콘도 롱심비카.
When we are in that very moment of our chest completely hot and agitated, in that moment, what you can do is really try to breathe within one nostril. So you really take a deep breath and then exhalate. So in that moment, really, this can be helpful.
네, 근데 양 드니처럼 좀 어떤나 지가르쳐 버려서 콘도 사심비까래 아니 근데 대마대가 지금 니버.
And also you can move yourself seriously, like you can shake a little bit your body. Yes, sort of doing some exercise, you can do it. And why is like that? It's not just for fun. Because actually when we are too angry, our body becomes too hard. And if our body becomes hard, and if our body becomes hard, and so all of our veins and channels also they become hard. So if we move like that, and then And so if we do like that, immediately like that hardness like becomes more soft. And if our muscles also relax, definitely all the channels and chakras and veins and so forth, also they relax. If they relax, if they relax, because they are basis of our wind energy, so the wind energy can circulate better. And if the wind energy can circulate better within our body, definitely our mind also relax. And at the moment that our mind becomes a little bit more relaxed, then definitely after, then we can practice the cultivation of patience. So for this reason, like the very first thing, to prevent our emotional and mental health is to pay attention in our anger, and apply methods to reduce anger. And also all of our problems actually where also they come from our attachment. And where this attachment comes from the super exaggeration of the qualities of the person or situations that we are aiming. Of course, in order to reduce that the strength of this attachment, there are many methods in order to reduce this. One of them, that like the most famous or common, is to habituate oneself in the non-nice aspects of that person. All of these methods are good, but if you mainly can recollect again and again the transitorily or the impermanence aspect, it's important. Of course, like we have impermanence has many subtleties, isn't it? But first of all, if you can recollect again and again in the very gross aspect of impermanence is good for you. How it transforms. Yeah, that's very important. Like, first of all, to think in the gross level, how things change in a very gross and obvious level. And then slowly, like in a more subtle way, how things really change. And then in a subtle way, like how things really change moment by moment. This just by recollecting this truth, definitely that the strength of your attachment will naturally reduce also. And nowadays there are other sickness like mental emotional sickness, very famous or very common nowadays in our society. There is either like that anxiety, like we are all so much anxious, and not only this, like the loneliness or depression. So many of these kind of sickness is very present in our daily life. First of all, so in order to reduce these bad states of mind, I wish to introduce you to one book now.
빼면서 요래스.
I don't know if you already saw the book that His Holiness launched last year with Tibetan Jinpa also, with his translation. So it's the Indian classics in Buddhist philosophy, philosophical classic texts. So the second volume is about mind. And within this volume of mind, in one of the chapters that now I can't recollect. In the so in this book, it's a very thick book about mind. It's very nice. I even like to have here. So in this mind also we have one chapter that is mind and mental factors, mainly the mental factors. Within the mental factors, so we have the virtues, the 11 virtues. So within the 11 virtues, and so we have one specific mental factor that is that talks about love and compassion and so forth. You don't need to read out the whole book. Okay? Yes, actually we can. Yes, so if we even if you have time, it's okay, but because it's a very thick book, so you don't need to read everything. But if you read just these 15 pages, there are just 15 pages talking about love and compassion, it's going to be so beneficial for you. We can even send to you these 15 pages.
제가 드리는 송사 남tra당 심shum바당 개정가 나사장으로 공토 아니뭐 뜻을 땡당다 하진 거
In that book, really, if you just by mere reading these advices and reasons and so forth, immediately can be very helpful for you to overcome or prevent like depression, anxiety, fears, anger, and so forth. It's really very beneficial for you.
Yeah. What is the name of the book?
Tanda
garza simshimbala sopi dindigo ngaso gjelaya dini kiwi yang teda ngaso gjela kigoya gikindo with karkar yore lawayina.
And in order to you can kola?
Kagi simshimba dandi yorwa. To so ngaso gjela kigo was gikin karkar yore lawayina.
Okay, so first of all, what is the cause from these depression, anxiety, and so forth? It's very important to recognize what is the cause of this.
Yeah, that tambo de la tagi nanshinjiniya lobo yini ngombonzo zo zawa danda ne shiba nalola kariyore la bayina ayin semne yesem las ngazo dini ngamtra dan ta sim shumba la so badan jigna la so bi dini sem de zo zu yishi wanshi ni gtoni zu de yishi ngo sha gore ma do wanshi ngo sha jiyo mares.
And so what is the main cause of depression, anxiety, fears, and anger, and so forth? So the same Vasunbandu in this treasure also what he mentioned is in one of these verses he's saying first of all the distracted mind comes from distraction, isn't it? So a distracted mind is first of all a conceptual an intellectual mind.
왕시 람나 두 가르는데 무시 나시 제시 루시.
And what means this? What means this that we become distracted out of our thoughts or our conceptual mind, okay? Not our sensorial minds. So what means sensorial minds? Like most of you are studying. So the sensorial minds are those like visual consciousness and tactile consciousness and ear consciousness and so forth. All of them are sensorial consciousness. The sensorial consciousness, they don't become distracted. What becomes distracted is the intellectual mind, intellectual or conceptual mind.
Yeah. That didn't control so be same to so much kiwi kableya, kechi good kazo resin, kechi judelaya, taktu.
And for example, depression and so forth, all of them, they are a distracted state of mind, okay? And this distracted state of mind, which is sort of mental consciousness, this mental consciousness, actually, they have, in order to give rise to this bad state of mental consciousness, like depression and so forth, they have mainly 5 causes. Please pay attention. So mainly 5 causes.
Telea carriore the sozo similar didn't jignala so be didn't samlong in bakia de zu de then lake nami ke the gana. Kashi carres nami 소소소소 그 자와 아니 지금 다만다 제발라 되니 또나 레가 나밀라 되니 에기야 지용 거예요.
Okay, all of these, bad states of mind, depression, anxiety, so forth. First of all, the first cause, of course, is one matured karma. So from some past actions that we have, definitely give rise to the result, that the result is a depressed state of mind and so forth. And so this is the very first cause mentioned here by Vasunbandu.
Yeah. 다 니바드 가르레스 디가라 스타바 직탁식 침부 셈젤레 끼와라 되니 영 지용 거예요.
The second cause from this anxiety and depression and so forth, the second cause is fear, sort of fear coming from fear, and so all of these bad states come.
야, 다 숨바드 가르레스 디가라 소소래야 아니 노바식 침부 태발레 되니요. 아디니 그 심심발라 소비 어디니 남도도 저기요래.
The third cause, right? And so first karma, second fear. The third is from how to say this, from a harm, so someone harming us or a situation harming us. And so from this third is this third cause of these bad states.
미념 세대가나 맞죠. 리컴 그 종어셔도 찬용바 메발레티니요. 소소 셈래야 어노키오 텔레티니 심심발라서 같이.
The fourth cause of this depression and so forth is an unbalance of our elements. So unbalance of the component of water, wind, earth, and so forth. Unbalance of our own body also is one of the causes, the fourth cause of this kind of mental diseases.
Yeah. 다 나바드 가르레즈 디가라 소소고 셈래야 다 파마 종와라 소바다 소소지 가로다 카트와라 소바다 소소 레네셔와라 소바 딘딜레데니 아니 심심바드 식침보용구요래.
And the fifth cause is a deep sorrow, a deep suffering. For example, either like the loss of our parents or once beloved, or separation, divorce, separation of our partners, or any other very big problems. So these also can be a cause of our, of this kind of mental problems and diseases.
Yeah. 다 임바이나야 또저 참아 셀비 탑람센의 민두 또저 다경에 땅보 넘어 절려야 가라 나 소레지 나 미지래 나 말시 동고지래 세아데다 아니 니바드 가르레지 나 심진지 요소 나래야 묵서거 심진샹다 만도위 삼로 니바식 첨부지 요래지는 게 질랍소 때다 하진 거 연대와 첨부지 차대 요래.
So yes, and so all of these are the causes, and so it's good to reflect again and again and to recognize that these are the main causes to these mental diseases. Okay, clear? But as I started my talk today, who we are human beings, and because we are human beings, we have this amazing potential and potential to make, to express, and to do things. And so it's very important to rely and to recollect all the time our own reality.
Yeah. 내 인지께다야 처신거 말이데 옛날야 희민빈사데 니가 첨부 그 니가 첨부도 때 가자 배 니식 첨부함 양내직 삐딱보지래 고 그래서도.
Yes, we have to recollect. We have to remember that we are human beings. I don't know probably English, but I know the word of human being. And the human beings is someone that is completely fulfilled by strength, power, potency of doing things.
야, 맞아 보비게 당연나로라 임바이나 나sol라야 민가라 계부 늘던 제네 민가 남라라 간사 계부 늘던 자 디니고 민만 보여. donda ngarcho karreze nibada dam ludan sem niki chani nga nibada demba ji yin sambi pobad niberdo yogo gores.
So all of us, we really have to be proud, not proud, but like with the confidence that, wow, now I'm a human being. Now I am a being, a person with capacity. And with this capacity, we have to recollect it again and again. Don't remember this, because out of the truth that we know that we have this capacity to doing things, and so we have to use our own faculties to use them to overcome our own problems.
Yeah. Ngarocho matsega nalola kadi ina kibu changjang
Because actually,
yungumare.
within this life, we never have, it's impossible just to abide in happy moments. It's impossible this.
Yimba ina ya kadi ina dubu changjang yungumare.
But all the opposite also is impossible. All the whole life just to be 100% under very big sorrow also is not like that.
Pena ngarung ko mutsege nanglo
For
sama tamba
example,
ina
if
ya.
I think about my own life,
Ngalo ta chunju kani parje lo chudun parta ta ngoni tani pe penjur ga chani hajing ga kyobo ka ko le pe kala mara ninga dine tambo jini kala longsa mambo doyong ka ko le kala nyima ni sum dine kala mara ni mambo de metse nanglo la kangi hajing ga chimbo
I really can share with you that, like, in my own life here, I also had so many very big moments of difficulties. For example, even like when until my 17 years old, more or less, like I experienced so much difficulties, really, like mainly like from lack of financial resources and so forth. I came really from a very poor nomad family that we didn't have money leave aside money, like we didn't have conditions even to eat. Like I had to beg for so many times in order to have some food, and for maybe 2-3 days I had no food at all in my stomach. I have many moments that I can recollect the situation. That's true. That's from my own experience.
Amachik
because my family, my mom had five kids.
And
we were from a very poor family. And of course, I experienced so much difficulties. Likewise. And also when I came to India, when I came to India, like I crossed the Himalayas walking in the mountains, and I just carrying my own bag with food, with tampa, and in the snow and at the night and so forth. Really, like in that 30 days walking until India, like I experienced so much suffering, but just physical suffering. Because within these 30 days that I came walking to India, I just could, I had my tampa in my bag, but we were allowed to eat the tampa just once a day. We just had a little portion of tampa every day. We didn't have anything else to eat during the day. And even like when I arrived in India, in South India, in Drepung, like the monastery was so poor, and we had to do so much work, like either like studies and all the works in the field and in the monastery and so forth. And food, like of course we didn't have so much, almost nothing of food to eat. And because of this, like I became so sick for so long. So actually I can share a little bit of my own physical difficulties that I had in this life. But why I'm saying about this,
dindijile yakbo lepson jong chimbola lo jong che korkup chirason tang moni pe dini penga yakbudu tai nange shigyago semde ma jumma shirwa jeni semshik de yobayina kale rimbi jini kangeli tariyong.
And why I'm saying this, I'm telling you this, that even though I experienced so much really like deep difficulties, and in those moments that I experienced like obvious difficulties and so forth, like just because of these difficulties, like I could abandon everything, I could leave everything, and I could, I don't know, do some bad things against me, but I didn't do this. Why is it's this? Because actually it was just a physical problem. What I keep recollecting again and again, it was that, hey, but I'm going to India, or I can go to India. I'm on the way to what? To the possibility to really educate my mind, to strengthen my own mind, to transform this mind in order to become a better, more wise and better person and so forth. In order to this, like I never miss this opportunity to study and to really go into these amazing opportunities that I'm about to, or I have the potential to meet. And so this I kept collecting again and again and again in my mind. And so this prevented all the, you know, like the sensation of giving up or depression and really like all the mental sufferings that I was about to feel all the time.
자자 페테 난싱거 가르쳐 수도 수임 바이나요 샘식 차 마셔나 울르도 냐 마셔나 아니 소소 강에 최종 간디지가 오네나요 타리아두스.
So for this reason, all of us, we have to remember again and again when we're about to enter in any, you know, problem or difficulty or difficult time, we have to recollect, because we are intelligent, and we have to recollect, but there is a way. Like, I don't need to enter here. There is a way to solve this problem that is bothering me.
아니 철로가 가서 빈저도 이번에 까까래야 고모모모 라그래 까까 고모모모 파쇼도 그래 너다나 지금 도보도모 이번에 까까래서 참보 차그래 너 까까래야 파 카텐도 그래 아니 소소 나미 이번에 가시 동도 그래 다데 고 누보고 도당치리 제자 디 누보 도당들이야 삼로 당비 토니 당문이 토니 추라야 돼야 고 누보 도당치기 토니 라기요래 파쇼도야 돼야 당 누보 도당치기 돈이 로요래 임바이네야 소소 로체 템보지지니 대고 삼바도지 그 삼로도 땅 토이나 아니 다게 셈 줌바제 안도도 소도 용고 말해.
So if in order to really preserve that self-confidence that all of us we have, in order to present and never abandon the self-confidence that we have within us, we have to recollect again and again the reality of how things happen. So things are never stable. Sometimes we have very nice things. Sometimes we will lose that good things. Sometimes we will come together with good people or with those partners that we want to. Sometimes we will separate. We will be apart. We will be far or whatever. Sometimes we really have good conditions, financial conditions, whatever. Sometimes we will lose things. Sometimes we have good jobs. Sometimes we lose this. So this is actually the reality. So if we recollect again and again this, when we are abiding in a good sort of situation, a pleasant situation, a stable situation, just don't attach too much, because one day it's gonna finish or it's gonna degenerate and so forth. And then when that situation, that person, that relationship, stable relationship, whatever, come apart, or we lose something, or we don't get whatever we want to, we also don't become too frustrated. We also don't become too anxious of losing the things. We don't depress. And so this recollecting again and again, the mode of abiding, or the mode of the modus that everything works, if you recollect it again and again, so we don't suffer so much when difficult times happen. And even again, from my own experience, in 2009, when my mom died, I was in my monastery and my brother called me from my mobile.
게 가봤는지니 얘네 대원들가라 아니 니아만 당고 종송스니
And so my brother came.
빈자 저런 거 아만 당고 종송스 담보 나 심래 지 캔전도 갑질랑에 삼로다니 되지니 니 아마 아카 니 아미 바자르모 진지하라요 말했더니 아니 게 왜 저네 가서 아시도 우간 왜 저네 왜 마우간 냐마 다 아마 동사 당연히 두요 말와 이거는 까지 시도면도 우간 아더니 저거배
So when I can, even from my own experience, I can share, for example, in 2009 when my mom died, when my mom passed away. Of course, my mom, since I came to India, I never met her anymore, right? So she passed away in Tibet. And then after a few days, when I received a phone call from my relatives from Tibet, my brother that we used to live together in my monastery, he gave me the mobile. So when he says, "Oh, there's a mobile phone call to you from our country," I was already expecting something strange, weird. And when I listened to the news, your mom just passed away. In the very first moment, like okay, my mom passed away. And then when they were telling me about how she died and so forth, I just, for a certain moment, I couldn't even breathe. Like I was sort of breathing, and then everything just stopped here. I couldn't even reply to whatever I was listening, because actually my mom was about to come to India, and then to meet His Holiness and so forth. And then immediately I recollect, my mom even couldn't meet His Holiness Dalai Lama before she died.
Yeah.
And then
and then
in that moment that I couldn't even breathe, and so first of all I just left the mobile, and then I kick out my brother from my room, and slowly I just sit comfortable, and then in that moment I still couldn't breathe properly. In that moment, like I was in shock, right? I was really in shock. But then I used a second thought. And then I used a second thought. Well, all my other cousins and brothers and so forth, that they were still in Tibet, they could help my mom until she died. But I couldn't help my mom. Why? Because actually I came to India to study, and so I had opportunity to really prepare myself to help in this moment. And then I thought, if I really cannot use all my knowledge from at this moment, and then pray and use all my knowledge to help her now in this moment of this passage, then I be very like shame on me. So in that moment I say, no, I'm going to use whatever I know now with the situations that I know now in order to help my mom. In that moment, using this second thought, then I could breathe again, and then I sort of relax and apply the method that I could help her. Then I could breathe again, and then I sit properly, and then I start praying, meditating, and then I could relax again, and then I could think better properly. So in that moment, if I didn't know how to think about, I probably would faint. I don't know if I would die also, but definitely I would faint in that moment of shock. What I'm showing is actually if we know how to think and how to really put into practice whatever the potency that we know, so we really can be brave enough and act. So for this reason, so for this reason, what I wish to tell you with this story is like, it's true, all of us, we will experience difficulties in any time. All of us, we will experience problems. That's a fact. But also another very important fact is all of us, we are able to solve our problems. All of us, we are able to solve our problems, just like in this example. And so it's important to prepare ourselves to solve problems when they happen.
Sala carry ngotos. Sachalaya kakala pe jangu chagdo. Yang gunga sachatu sama ko karzaloma to kambo chadudo. Sala carry ngoto. Mila kiri degree. Yoma yores. nga zo ngi berda dinala samlo yogore so.
Yeah, so we Tibetans, we have some proverb that say that, well, human life is sort of, how to say this in English, I don't know, you know, like the toy that goes up and down, like it's always like with, water coaster, whatever. Oh, water coaster, yes, this. And what means it that we also, our human life has always ups and downs. So why? Because we always like go through happy moments and unhappy moments. Happy moments is never stable, isn't it? Always ups and downs. Likewise, like big mountains and nice valleys, they're always like green and gray. Why? Because sometimes that mountains and the valleys and so forth, they are green, like all the with nice grass and flowers and so forth. And sometimes there is no rain and it's completely dry. Why is this? Because we have to recollect it again and again that things are never stable. They always will change to ups and downs, to good and bad situations. It's very important to recollect this fact.
제가 당연 도대샤바이나 tindiga sem shimbina자다 ngamtrak자도 도서 참마데 소소 응우본 로탄식 삼로 땅 토와이나 응우보단 틈비 삼로지 땅 틈나 tindiga ngamtrada sem shimbina자자도 용 뭐야요 말이에요.
I can 100% tell you that if you recollect again and again the modes of how things actually exist, like the external physical things, we're just talking about external physical things, that they are transitory, like they change, they come and go back and so forth. If you recollect again and again, definitely that's one of the best methods to prevent depression, anxiety, fears and so forth.
단 무요내당 가리요래라 바이나 가솔라
Because actually our reality has 4 aspects, isn't it? The first one is if we are born, we will die. Why we die? Because we are born. If you are born, you don't go another place rather than just dying.
아니 골모에나 사사사사 타말라 존로도 싹비 타마제.
And because if we accumulate so much money, at a certain point it will it will lose. You lose this. So that's why the second thing is that if you just gather together and after you lose that.
아니 나미 카텐드로 토보토모 카텐드로 딘디도스 좀비 타마 젤스. 아니 기와치말레 바이나 고 카텐니 로야 단 담다 요로 손드르제 시드르제 그래서 상마양 좀비 타마라 ter고야양 우부추니.
And all the separations, and so either like with friends, partners, so forth, why we split, why we separate, either like by separation itself, either like by death and so forth. Why we separate? Because we came together. And so if we never came together, we will not separate. And so we have to recollect this truth.
아니 라위 타만 젤스 어떤 컴바이마이나 쭈쭈쭈쭈 야드네드네진 안 타마달라 갈레갈레 참아도 마리용도 라위 타만 젤스.
And things are destroyed. Why? Because they were built before. And so houses. And so if we build a house, in the end or after many years, it will be destroyed at a certain point. Why it was destroyed? Because it was built in the beginning.
제가 딘디고 무요네 땅가 토라야 삼로 니버등아서 땅 투고요레스. 어디니 지땅 토와이나다 심심바당 심랑암트라세데 뇽린도야 텐데레스. 아티그토니 domsik티그토니 예샤기 안나버솔 지와요나 니버더 지와다나로지스.
So it's very important to recollect this again and again. That's what I invite you to do today. And so please do recollect that things, if you lose, it's because you already gain. If you separate, it's because it was already coming together and so forth. If you die, actually, it's because you're born and so forth. And so this true, you have to recollect it again and again, so you don't attach too much, you don't suffer so much when you lose, and then you prevent all of these bad states. Okay, so today I'm gonna leave like that. This was what I wanted to tell you today, and in order for you to reflect and so forth. And so if you have any question or sharing experiences and so forth at home also and here, please do it. If you are not too tired today after a long Monday work day.
you repeat those 5 points again, which you started from the karma?
The leda, the gyu ngadwa, stampo ledwa, o di anche cuci la danza. Carissa, ledwa o di.
Bad karma,
Mhm.
fear,
Ah.
then the imbalance between your own chakras or whatever you
Mhm.
say. Then if somebody harms you,
Mhm.
and the last is if you lose somebody or some big suffering.
No, contact actions. Very good, very good. Yes, and so what are the 5 main causes of these bad states of the mental diseases? We say mental and emotional diseases like depression, anxiety, attachment, and so forth. So first of all, from one's own karma. So karma from the past actions that we do. So it matured by these bad experiences. Okay, first, the bad karma that one's own has in one's own continue. The second one, so some big fear. So when you are too fearful by something, so out of these kind of situations can come, anxiety and so forth. And then the third one, like by a big harm, when you are feeling harmed by someone or by a situation, also you become too anxious, depressed, and so forth.
Is that also like fear? Is that also like fear?
Fear.
Yeah.
So fear is the second cause.
So is the third cause the same as fear? Or is it
No,
different?
it's like a
The
parent
being harmed.
who harms a child. So it's
Right.
a happening that's against your.
When the third is a harm. So when
you have no control over it.
when you are being harmed by someone or something. So you have the second, that is fear. So you have a fear of something. That's the second cause. Out of fear, so you're depressed, anxious, and so forth. The third, that you're being harmed by someone, okay? Someone or something. The fourth is, because all of us, we have this physical structure out of our elements, like the body elements, like earth, water, and so forth. And so out of an unbalance within our own body, also is a cause from these mental diseases, okay? And the fifth, usually the Tibetan medicine, and the Vedanta also, they see the imbalance in our body. And then the fifth and last one is a very big sorrow. It's a very big sort of, sorrow or a very deep problem that we just experienced. For example, the loss of one's parents, let's say one shock, very big shock, and so forth. So these are the 5 conditions to these mental diseases, as anxiety, even attachment also, to give rise to.
Penangazo le ngami le latini chungore se atele ya pe kariores de penangazo neba lugnasa ane pe member kandijile to men kalzo za take kandijiba ina choni na lugnasa the tagmatung gechi ane ta jingazo choga yang choga toni ane ndoba damanda toni yang dini no jidi kala ko nasa yang tando ya dini mambu yungo o dini ke lugnasa do so yang ka kwale ya track king toni yungu yoba yang ngami le latini yungu yoba dini mambu yungo res.
For example, the very first cause, karma. Right? Like sometimes, for example, some sick people, some diseases, doesn't matter how many times we check, we go to the doctors and we take medicines, we rely on so many treatments and so forth, we are not healed. It's sort of strange, isn't it? It's because that bad karma matured as a form of diseases. But then sometimes, like, we ask for some monks and so forth to pray. And then we do some pujas and so forth, and then we're healed, isn't it? Sometimes this really happen. It's because that problem, that sickness came actually from this karma, and out of the puja and so forth, this is a little bit purified. So yes, some of so likewise these diseases, and so also the mental diseases as anxiety and so forth also can come from past karmas. But when we talk about karma,
Karang re.
But when we talk about karma, like we don't need even to think too deep in this law of karma. Like we have to understand law of karma as our daily actions. How do we express? How do we use our body? How do we act with our bodies? How do we express our emotions and our behavior and so forth? How do we use our body in actions? How words come from our mouth? Which kind of thoughts are we cultivating in daily routine? All of this is karma. So this you have to put attention on. Okay?
Yes.
So my question is about the third condition. So when someone harms us, so a lot of times we become, let's say there's an example. So a bullied person becomes a bully later on. So why does this happen?
Bullying.
Yeah, why does this happen that someone harms us in any other way also? Why do we tend to become, why do we reciprocate it?
Why do we bull back?
Yeah, why does that person who was bullied he should understand that pain, but rather he causes that pain to another person. And delivers it to someone else. Why does that happen? And in another thing, how can we have a compassion? Let's say a person is bullied. How can he have a compassion for the person who
forgive?
The bully.
Please.
They're saying
Forgiveness also, but in the general sense also. How in a society.
Yeah, compassion is one step beyond forgiveness.
Let's say in society.
It's off.
You have to forgive anyone who's been
So in society also we see that whenever there's let's say a heinous crime has happened, so it happens out of anger, that person was also subject to something. And as a society we feel that we should punish that person. So aren't we being that same person? Aren't we acting the same way that person has? In a way
If we are punishing that person.
We want him dead, right? A lot of people, and that's
I like hating that person and wanting that person also to suffer and so forth.
Yeah, we also want that person to suffer.
You could say it.
In a way, the person who was subject to pain, he was also
ne pas doit. Pena que se mi chic.
Mimyo re ma.
Mare dishipare.
Mara. Drag. Ore re ran ya. No
ba. O di de. Allah so. Ani no pa kodara. Ani ni tiwa no pa kola krere sena mi kashe ani no pa chegidwas. Pena ngala ina ani ngala no pa cheswas. Te maso yamena ngala tunchun chegidos yamena shishi ani nga tunchu ogla davos na de ya. Ani de kamla nga simge khangela halewa chempo dwas ani simchumpa chaya kareina. Ina yang mi kasheras ani simchumpa chana yang srakeza mi shemba ginga so tunchu chegido chidwa. Ina yang nepa de tsora de tis top chempo dawo chani amena mi shemba chikpa chikan chegidus. Konso samshi chegimindus ra ama kilse ngala tunchun chena nga simshun pachagios. Konso kare chegiores na mi shemba yang chikpa chikani tunchun chegidwa. Ani mi shemba kangel chikpa chikan pak mi shemba tagaran chegidus, pa chegidus. Ani kangel katso su lena chikpa chikan kangel mi shemba la chegiores. Kare chini di tiwa tampo dires di drotandwa. Kare chini ani ama kada kangel di kyone yaporang mindus nga shemba la tsainine chigimes di macheche nupa chikpa chikan par chegiores tiwa tampo dires. Tiwa nipa penang so chitsog nana ni kangel keresa kangel sana mindu da chawa dukcha hallewa mampu yores na zurbo chawa cewa chawa hallewa mampu
cewa
chawa hallewa mampu yora yamena sea ina da kare ina ra ani de kabla nga so ngepardo Nicola tada mi marabdi sani sengen de so perna sengenina ngepardo ngepa chempo tegores koyang ni dungel shuk chempo ni nyogores nga so lunglane kola yang halewa ngepa chempo ni tegores koyang dungel shuk chempo ni ani nyogores nga so yang lunglane tagarang chikpa chikyang so ani kola tegiras ani kilsi dina shinga so par lamnara tanga so konsogi nga so kangel katso chena nga so yang kangel chikpa chikan tegimi dikabla kilsi nga so di chena ni kangel chikpa chikan tegimi do
ta dambo de la karre di gala nga so yang dindi chigore rang li la pelon la shen la no pa ma chi chi sia chi che zang dindi ge rik de so karre 소소라 강에 가져서 미간다 그 소소란 통정도 노바 제디간 소소라 강에 강 요바 델이야 삼시 제비 토니 델라 빼라니 안에 샹라야 노심 지금 메삼비 디기 삼로다 땅 마시 비긴 거 용구요레스 랑글리라 오니 제나 랑글리라 빼라니 샹라 노바 마치 바지 고구요레 가르제 콩알라 dini kange dini chi tini ngala kange dini chi chongso oh ngi me shanda la yang pha dini chi ba na khole ma da chi chi chang kange de yungure sambi diga samlo namcho ge sherab de me yin songsa diga thoni so so la kang teba de me shanda la ya pha tini de ores.
Yeah, the first part of your question is, well, we just do this, like we receive the bullying and then we bull back the other person. It's because we lack of the understanding on the reflection on that sentence or that proverb that says, use the suffering that we receive as an example, and learn from this example in order to not harm back. But we don't understand this. We don't reflect on this. So instead of, oh, because I'm suffering this, so because I don't like how I feel like that, and so I'm not going to create the same suffering in other person, the same problem in other person, we don't recollect this true, we don't reflect on this situation, and then out of this ignorance, out of this lack of understanding, the proper lack of understanding, for this reason, actually, when we receive one harm, we harm exactly the same things, because we lack of this understanding. But in brief, in brief, it's just the lack of this discriminative wisdom that we have.
But
doesn't mean that actually when we are receiving one harm, like being bullied, then we just have to, be under this bullying like this. That's not the case at all. This also doesn't mean to be patient. This doesn't mean, that's not the meaning of be patient. That's not the meaning. To be patient means like not to respond with anger to an offensive or to an anger actions. That's what means patient.
Pasho di soso la noba che on di kala soso te lo se tembo de devi toni soso shiro pecho tavi toni kola len tata jab gores.
When you're receiving when you receive one harm, like someone is scolding you or offending you, in that moment you have to be you have to hold that moment, hold the situation, don't respond. Then you have to sort of use a little bit of patience, but you don't respond, and slowly with time you use your own you think about how can I reply to that person? How can I use my intelligence? How can I give a proper and intelligent response, and do respond after? This what means like be patient. Don't reply in anger situation, but use your thought, your discriminative thoughts to reply, to act against that. For example, if I want to for example, if I want to how to say this? Throw. Okay. If I want to throw this stick to you, like, and if people look at me, see me like throwing this stick to you, everyone say, what is this person so angry and so forth, angry and bad behaved person. So you don't have to do this. If I really want to throw this stick to you, what I have to do is look. I cover this stick with this nice kata, and then I throw this nice kata to you. And then people, when look at me, he's just throwing this kata. But when this kata reach your head, it's going to really harm you. But what actually... But actually the situation are opposite, not opposite. They don't. They're not the same. Why? Because like I really wanted to throw this stick to you, and I got it. But when people look, actually didn't seem like to throw a stick. So what I mean is.
so ndini samlo tani kala len yaptap che gore.
But what I mean in this
Pasho,
case,
odoba
of
cheni
course,
yata.
is not to throw a stick, but in the sense of you have to reply. You have to throw the meaning. You have to throw the proper reply to the person, but in a polite and good and intelligent way.
Yeah. Dini da triwa niba delaya.
And then the second question.
mi ane karza danda kyoba ngemba che denye tsolaya. Chimche tende ko karza ane ngazo gyarkap gandro ta inare kare yemba ya ko ya zambu lamla ya ndobi korlon tindi thoni ko la kap ka ya trabu thoni ya teze che ge yongre yimba ina korlon de tindi cheba jamni so korlon de teze samlo tangu res triwa niba de mi tambo su kama jamni na mi dikcha mambo tele pa chimche
Ale, ani kare chogre se?
oye chimche de che on de kana ko kyoba de la njiro ji ta ya ge thapshi thoni ani chi
Okay, and for the second question, when we see someone misbehaving or really doing bad things in our society and so forth, of course, like it's not cultivating the wish to harm that person back and so forth. That's not the case. But what all of us we need is to know how to address the bad behavior of that person and then really apply all of the penalties and so forth towards the action of that person. This we have to do, and we have to differentiate the action also.
Mi zambola kiram zambore tujiche dindi malawayina ani mi pasa zambo de akab chila semchi chandra dindi ayungres.
And there is one Tibetan proverb that says that to good people, if we don't praise the good qualities, then this good person will become discouraged. If and then follows the proverb that says, if you don't if you don't apply the proper penalties in the faults of those bad people, then those bad people will become spoiled. And what is the meaning of this? Yes.
Pama imbayina pena sozo pugula kapkalan sotom tangare kapkala dungure dina yang bugdela ten sewa chegin duzin kajet shia yomar kar pami sim bugdela ya konon sambo yo sonza takana jiga gegeng lotile ya dine kapkala trapo chegre imbayina ya ten sewa rezin sewa mari kar gyabjong ko konon de yakbo yo sonza te kyo yong mari o de na jinga phajo tumche tansa tu sola imbayina yang tini konon yakbo che thumna.
So what I want to tell you is actually everything relies in the motivation or in the pure, genuine wish of how to address the actions. So if you see that the action is bad, like you really have to, out of the wish to benefit that person and to address the bad actions and not get spoiled those bad people and so forth, like you really have to address properly. And for example, the parents. So those parents here, sometimes when they see the kids like misbehaving, being too spoiled and so forth, they really like show bad face or angry face or sometimes even scold, kick and so forth. It's out of their tenderness, their caring and loving, that they really like show a bad face or an angry face in order to correct the bad actions of their kids. But it's out of their own love. And so this is something that you have to understand, that when you address when you see bad actions, you have out of the benefit of to the other person, then you have to address in a very tough way, you have to address the bad action.
That is also chidang chen dandang len juyade chudang thumbi labja ya dere mato also jarkam ka chim shisha chebena kono sandang ing kache shig marwa ko bhajo de leka kar dikya che yome ti thoni ko chimi yang da chiwa de leong gore mato kono la chi de gogre se ate kache te she yomar da den jik de tola.
Of course, I'm talking about here about like more psychological aspects or religions. He said religions, but more in the conduct and psychological aspects, because how to address better and how to become better person and so forth. But of course, like if we have like bad actions, like as you mentioned, we have to respect all the all the laws and the moral conduct of the countries, of course, like if there's steal and so forth, and then has to be addressed properly as the moral conduct of the country.
First one is how, is from Zeten Onmo,
Mhm.
from Ladakh. How, what can we do when someone that is close to us becomes indifferent or annoyed with you without any apparent reason?
Ne tua tampo la dagnere. Tua tampo penang so simtanyi pugi mi chikra. Ani nga sola hop de kala yamena namietang yamena da became yamena tis nga sola tis nyobgire dwas. Ani de kabla kare chigores.
Aleon. That thing one nga so de yore konar mo chi labja na no la karaz Sender nanga yeshi drobo yang tsig le chi la nam to ki drop tani sanyin tami da nyerang gen zamba deni chos ngar cho ina ta chik tang ni drobo re sdi kanam ta chik de pe ya sha ya tham drobo yin ban sin da yin nam ta chik de da yin ba nga chun zing do as yin ba yin ya de la ni ba yo ma da da ni sa de ni ba yo ma diring anye yin na sanyi da chang do ya 아니 디리 다이나 사니 년 창도야 디니 망보지 다니 디니 뉴르니 로고요 손자 어 디니레 양 삼로 당바이나 대세 편도 그래서
Okay, first of all, it's also very, very useful to recollect again and again the truth that actually there is never a stable and forever close friend. And likewise, there is never forever an eternal enemy. What means that? Like sometimes we think that that person that is close to us, we feel close to us, has to be close and stable and like that forever. And likewise, like, that person is so bad. I really hate that person because that person is bad and that person will be bad until die. It's not like that. Like we have to recollect the truth that actually, like friends, they become non-friends sometimes. The non-friends become friends sometimes. And so it's good to recollect this again and again and not to attach too much when they are close.
For
example, as I told you, like when I was a child, I was a really bad guy, and so I really have many enemies. and many of them, really, I know that until now they really want to kill me. I know this. And many of them, now that I'm become older and so forth, when finally we met again, we became friends. So for this reason, like for this situation that is true, and that this can happen, from now on, it's very important to prepare ourselves. Prepare ourselves in the sense of, well, now, since I have some friends and so forth, maybe in the future, I might say something that will offend that person or that person will offend me and so forth. And then I can create problems to others or I can receive some problems. And so in that moment, I have to be patient and then I have to hold myself also against these frustrations and so forth. And so from now on, I have to recollect this.
Yeah. But
something very important to recollect is but very important now, that is, usually we say, she's very bad, she's the problem, you are doing this bad thing and so forth. Usually is the other, isn't it? But then that's a very, very big mistake, because actually the other person that we are pointing as a bad person or a faulty person, first of all, 100% is not faulty. 100% is not faulty. Actually, we are creating that fault, right? And so in order to understand that the person can misbehave, The person can do bad actions and can misbehave, can be angry and so forth. And in that moment can show you bad face, can scold you, can tell you not nice things, not true things. So in that moment, like what you have to understand is, first of all, things are impermanent. Things change time to time. So if one see that person in that moment that the person is blaming you, is blaming me and so forth, in that moment, like one has to understand first, well, he or this person is just telling me now this. Maybe it's because she's sick or he's sick. Maybe from some other reasons that person just shift her behavior or her thoughts in that moment. So in that moment that you're receiving that bad behavior, you also have to cultivate patience and create more understanding towards that person and not respond immediately.
Pena.
For example,
Telatini Dutch Yungdo.
yeah,
The Dutch
sound
Lapa
comes,
Choni
isn't it?
Chalatini Dati Yungumado. Lapa Shambamena Kazohina Dati Yungumudo.
Yes, so in order to clap the hands and to give this sound,
Ko ngala digma song in the Kutjanjang Gola, not so Geshe Lharampa
so in order
so
to
many in a Mandiba Karachin. Yes, some of the language.
so in order to have this sound of clapping hands, of course, depend on both hands. So we never have the sound of clapping hands just with one hand moving. Of course, that's obvious. But we have to apply these obvious things in the situations when there is one person like scolding you or telling you bad things, whatever. Don't immediately point out and think that it's just out of the fault of that person. Why is this person is blaming me in this fault? Never think like that. So maybe there is something that I also created in order to receive this bad, this blame and so forth. And this is something that is important to reflect.
There is one question asking,
Yeah.
why is color a view? I don't know if that rings a bell. I asked him to elaborate.
Where is color a view?
Why is color a view?
View. This is
It's
from
from Robert DeVito.
Open your mic, Robert.
Okay, let me unmute him.
Tashi delay
Delay.
from Key West. Yes.
Hi. What is your question? Why is color a view?
Yes, in the very start of the teaching, Geshe La and the host, the person who introduced, talked about what is color? And Geshe La said color is a view.
Hue. Not view, hue. He said hue, not view.
A hue.
Color is a hue. They're synonymous.
Yes, they're synonyms, but he still didn't explain what color was.
So katok da dog di ani katok di dog re ani donchire ina yang karechni chontok res ani katok res to ani gimsen ngi shemasons.
Got the
Tiwares. Robin.
Robin. Yeah. Re. Tang so young the tanya don't the tanya city galea and Pena Kato city galea go don't chi Gaza tanya the chip. And in Dodoruma, Dokan Ramanda city galea go don't the tanya chapter. Don't you in Bacangela? Don't tanya chapter.
Well, actually, when we say that a hue and colors are the same, like they are synonymous, and one explain others, because actually they differ in names. They do differ in names, but they address the same meaning. So that's why the color is the same meaning, but with other words.
Penazo Puchinji Chilena, Tomboni, Kato Lamna, there's a Cocaboyori. Colea, Sushun Ramanda, Dokan Ramanda, Lavtikan, Colamsa, and
for example, when we explain to little kids, oh, this is a hue, this is a nice hue, and so forth, like the kid will not understand what means hue. But if you explain, like, oh, this color or this different aspect, this is green, red, and so forth, then slowly the kid will understand what actually means color, that color is a hue, and so forth.
That's all.
How many questions? Most questions?
Oh, then the call question.
Last question.
Yeah.
So I understood the part that attachment causes suffering. When we attach ourselves with someone, it leads to
Duchala
suffering.
tene dungel yungire.
But is it possible to have like true human connection without
Ina
attaching ourselves with
so jelam kante zogores ke siani duchamena.
Tadi pe yabo.
It's a very good question. Good question, Ragala.
Good question. Karre labayina re marzo te samgi yore. Docha zayad mebayina mazo popo mogan drelam de yabo yungumari popo mogan drelam de yabo mebayina mazo rigjin kanichini per tugores. Tadi samlo de shikchimoyo yunguyo.
Yes, it's true that we have a common understanding that if we don't have attachment, we cannot even connect with each other, mainly in relationships. Not only, but mainly in relationships. If I am not attached to my partner, how can we become together? How can we come together? We have this very strong true in our mind. It's true that this happen.
Marzo tanda de jungu nano la yimbayina. Docha shik chungri tango ndu segim dumado. Doba shik chungri tango ndu segim do.
But when we really study deeper the philosophy and psychological texts and so forth, in the text is saying that we have to reduce attachment. We don't have to reduce the wish or the desire, the wishing desire. Because actually we want to become married. We want to have friends. We want to collect money. And all of this, it's okay. This kind of wishes, it's fine to have. And so in brief, like it's fine, it's healthy, and it's fine to wish things, to wish to have few things, to build things, to have relationships. It's fine.
But
the point is, if the wish that you generate is completely exaggerated, then the problems that will come is going to also be exaggerated. It's going to be too big for you. So when we say don't attach or don't create attachment, means don't create the super exaggeration or too big wishes or desires. It's like that. Sometimes when we are when we are with our friends, among friends, and sometimes we, sort of scold another friend, you're too greedy, you're too greedy. We say like, you're too greedy, or you have too many desires, strong desires. We say this, right? We don't say that, oh, why you're wishing something. We don't say this, right? We just point to the exaggerations. So that's why we need to know how to differentiate like attachment, the super exaggerated wishes, rather than just wishes and willing. So for this reason, in order to understand the difference of wish, this just normal wish and attachment and so forth, all of this comes from within the psychological texts. And so that's why I recommend in the beginning to really read these the Indian classics. The second volume, that is the mind, and within the volumes of the mind, we have the mental factors, because then there is all the mental attitudes, which are known like secondary minds or mental factors. If you really, first of all, you study these psychological aspects, you be aware of, these states of mind are so-called states of mind, how they work, and what are the obstacles, and what are the antidotes, and so forth. So if you really can engage in at least reading a little bit and reflect, it's going to be very useful for you. If you can have these books, or we can even send from Dharamshala.
That's all.
Okay, so maybe you're too much today, so thank you. Yeah? Oh, sorry. So let's dedicate the merits of today.
Thank you so much, Venerable Geshe La. Thank you so much, Geshe Lamjunla. Thank you so much. Let us recite very short dedication prayers to conclude the session. Let me share the screen again, and you have the booklet here at Tushita. So we are on page, what is the number of the page? 19. Dedicating the merits of listening. Page 19. And we can read in English. May whatever virtues I have collected benefit the teachings and all transmigratory beings, and may it especially cause the essence of perfect, pure Losangdrapa's teachings to shine forever. And we can do a few more dedications. We can do the one to actualize bodhicitta on page 23. We can chant it. Let us first recite it in English so we familiarize ourselves with the meaning, then we can chant it in Tibetan. May the precious supreme bodhicitta, not yet born, arise. May that arisen not decline, but increase more and more. Joy, joy, sem, ma ge ba nan ge yoroi ge ma nyam ba me ba yi go ne go no be warai sho. And then the same for the realization of the wisdom of emptiness. Doni da warim boje ma ge ma nan ge yoroi ge ba nyam ba me ba yi go ne go no be warai sho. And then I would like just, or maybe for His Holiness the Dalai Lama as well, on page 25 for the long life of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Jindem kam de pende mani bagan le joy sambe yejeno kadren zoy meden zingato choy koy chetenji doje lenjo. Then I would like to recite one prayer to pacify all the conflicts around the world. There are so many evil happening in different wars and difficult political situations. So this is on which page? Okay, this is on page 28 at the top in bold characters. By the force of the praises and requests made to you, may all diseases, evil spirits, poverty, and quarrels be calmed, and may the dharma and good fortune increase in the regions in which I and others dwell. Due to all the past, present, and future merits collected by me, the numberless Buddhas, and the numberless sentient beings, may all wars, famines, diseases, global problems, and all dangers of earth, water, fire, and wind be stopped immediately. May perfect peace and happiness prevail in everyone's hearts by their generating loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta. May the Buddha Dharma, from where sentient beings receive peace and happiness, last a long time and spread in all directions. May all sentient beings meet the Buddha Dharma and achieve enlightenment as quickly as possible. Thank you so very much, everybody, for joining. Thank you so much, Venerable Geshe La, for your enlightening talk. And please come again and again to Tushita. I think we really enjoyed online and in person. It's really beneficial for the center. Please come again.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay, thank you.
And oh yes, please accept this offering on behalf of all of us here, on behalf of Tushita.
Tujana.
Okay,
That's all.
okay.